What's going on, people? Barbarossa back with another Minecraft video, and today I'm going to show you a concept kelp farm that I've been working on. This is going to be an automatic kelp farm. There is a few problems with it, so there is a little maintenance involved, but it works really well, and I'd like to show it to you now. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. So first things you're going to need to do is have an area that is 6 by 20 with 3 high walls. I'm going to use glass so we can see it, so it'll kind of be like a fish tank. But let's go ahead and get this started. 3, 4, 5, 6. And I will go ahead and build up these 3 high walls, and I'll be back with you shortly. Okay, there we are. Now this kelp farm is based off of a flying machine technology. So whenever we're using these kind of things, we want them to go only a certain distance and then stop. So we're going to need some immovable blocks. I'll just use some obsidian, but you can use any immovable block that you want, like furnaces or anything like that. So from the short edges of this rectangle, we want to make a 4 by 2 platform here, and then we're going to make a 1 step up back here, and this is just to prevent the slime block flying machines from going where we don't want them to go. So this will stop their travel, and then eventually we'll build a device to have them return. So let's go ahead and get this set up. So this is going to be the platforms. On these platforms, we want to build slime block flying machines. If you don't know how to do that, here we go. You put a slime block next to a sticky piston, then put another slime block on that in front of that sticky piston, and another sticky piston into that slime block. And before we go further, let's put some immovable blocks in front, like so. And that's just to keep this thing from taking off before we need it to. And then you want an observer block with the output going into that sticky piston, and then one here going into that sticky piston. And this is basically it. What I like to do, since this is a 4 wide farm area, I just put a piece of glass on the sides of each one of these slime blocks like so, and that will be ready to go. What we need to do now is to make the return system. So what we're going to need is we're going to need a block that the redstone will interact with. You can use note blocks, you can use a redstone torch, you can use trapdoors. I'll go ahead and use these droppers for now. Whoops, let me do that one more time. Or these dispensers, we'll use a dispenser. And what you want to do is put a dispenser on top of that sticky piston there, and another dispenser in front of that observer block like that. And then out of this one that's on top of the piston, you want a repeater facing out. Set that to 4 ticks delay. And then on the other, you want a repeater facing in, also set to 4 ticks delay. And then here we just need some blocks to fill in some areas, and we want to kind of like this with a redstone piece of redstone in like so. Now this is the return system all done. What you can do is put a lever here, and this will act as an on-off switch. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'll activate it, and you'll see this flying machine go fly off in the other direction. Maybe not. Oh, Okay, take that out, and now you'll see it fly off in the other direction. Okay, so once we get over here, it'll stop, and we need to build that same thing on this side. So let's go ahead and put our removable blocks again so it doesn't take off on us. And we will put a dropper there, and a dropper there, or a dispenser there. And again, repeater coming out, set to 4 ticks. Repeater going in, set to 4 ticks. Fill in the area like so. And this is ready to go. So we'll do that one more time. This time we'll take those out first. And we will put that in. And this will take off and go down the way. Now what we need to do is we need to go ahead and finish this off. All we need to do is build up our walls like so. And I want to turn this off because I don't want that flying around the whole time I'm working. So we'll go ahead and build up another 3 high wall around the tank. So I'll be back when this is done. On this side, we want to only do a 2 high wall, and I'll show you that in a second. So let me get this wall in. Okay, so now that we've got this built up on a 2 high wall, we need to get some hoppers, and we are going to make a hopper chain here. We don't need that end one, that will be on a chest there, but let's go ahead and get this hopper chain run down here, and this is going to be our collection system. And of course you can make this thing a lot bigger than what I'm making it right now. I'm just making it like this for the sake of the video, but I did make one yesterday that was 32 blocks long, and it worked. It has been working just fine. So once we get those hoppers in, then we need to build up our top portion. And on this side with the hoppers, you want to go 1 pass and down, and this is to keep the kelp from getting thrown out once it hits the water stream. And we need to come over here. This end hopper right here is not needed, so we'll replace that with a piece of glass because this is our usable area in here. So let's go ahead, put this line in, and then over here we want to come up an extra block high along this back wall. And we'll bring it out by a couple blocks, and this thing is pretty much done. So now we can go ahead and fill in our water. So let's find a water bucket, and what we'll do is just on this back wall here, we're just going to go and put some water in like so all the way down. And then once we start the flying machine, it should fill in the rest. So let's go ahead, start this up, and as it goes down you can see it fills in that rest of that water for us as it goes. This is exactly what we want to see, and this thing is done. All we need to do is plant our kelp, and we'll go ahead and get it going. One thing I have noticed is as far as problems are concerned is every once in a while kelp along this back wall will get hung up around here. So what I've done is I've come in here and just filled this back wall with water. That seemed to help. I did that on both sides. Another problem that it has, this is not completely lossless farm. Kelp will get thrown out on the edges sometimes, but it's really not that big of a deal. Get our kelp. Another issue that I've seen is that the kelp, every so often the kelp will break all the way down to the ground, which isn't good because then it won't continue to grow. So that's why I said in the beginning that there is a little bit of maintenance involved in this. So after a certain amount of time, you will have to come in and replant some kelp in here. And you notice I didn't fill in the last block or the last row of kelp by the wall. And I did that because it seemed when the kelp was growing that it was making it harder for the kelp to rise up because when they break. I'm not sure if that's because when the kelp breaks, the water streams are messed up or what, but I just went ahead and left that back wall open, this back one here, and it seemed to work just fine. So we'll go ahead and get it started fully here and let it run. We got a couple holes fixed. Let's go ahead and fill that in with a little bit of glass. I lost my glass. So let's make sure there's no more holes anywhere. Looks good here. That will probably be a hole. Let's send it back and double check over here. Break that for now. Let's see what happens. Yeah. So that needs to be blocked off, and I think that should do it. We got another hole here. Block that off. Now we should be good to go. Let's watch it go back and forth a couple times just to be sure. Yeah, okay, looks good. Now the maintenance issue I was talking about earlier, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can either dive down in there and replant if you want, or what I did was dig a little trench, and now we've got a trench here, and what we can do with that is we can go along the bottom side here and put some trapdoors in. And then what that allows us to do is if there's a broken one, we can reach in and fix it like so. And we can close those up when we don't need them. And that allows us to do some maintenance without having to dive into the tank. But you can see this thing is starting to work, and we'll let it run here for a few minutes, and then we'll check out the output. Another hole. Gotta watch these holes here. So we didn't put an output chest, so let's grab our chest. And I'll let it sit here and run for a few minutes, and we'll see how it goes. So sit back, and we'll speed this up and watch it work. So here we go. Okay, we've been letting this thing run for about 20 minutes or so now, so let's go ahead and take a look and see how we've done. It doesn't look like there's any maintenance issues right yet, but after about a couple hours, this thing will probably need to have a few replanted. But as you can see, we've got almost a full stack now after about 20 minutes on this little farm. And it's super easy to build, and it works pretty good. A couple issues, like I said, the maintenance issues, sometimes you have to replant it. I'm not sure what it is, but every once in a while when this thing hits a stem, the water stream will go all the way down and break the airstream will go all the way down and break the plant at the ground. So that causes us to have a little bit of streams. Now this thing doesn't have any kind of delay on it; it just keeps going back and forth. I tried it to where I put delay, like I put a daylight sensor on there, so that way it changes between day and night. So every night it'll go past, and then in the day it'll go past again. But they were getting too long, and if they break them in the middle of a stem, then it seemed to cause them to break all the way down to the ground a lot more frequently. So I figured that just letting it run back and forth like this is probably the best bet. Any other issues I had? Trying to think. Just the if you block this part off a little bit more, if you filled in some of these blocks, you probably wouldn't get any loss from items spewing out the sides. And I haven't seen any yet, but it has happened. Usually they'll get stuck here, and then as the machine goes back out, it kind of drags it back out. So that's good. But I did see a few popping out on the other machine. Oh wait, here's one right here. See, so this just popped out through the block. So if you filled this in a lot more, it probably wouldn't happen as often. But with that, I want to wish you a good day, and thanks for watching my video, and I hope you guys enjoyed this farm, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.